Today, we're going to talk about something truly mind-bending, a connection between ancient spiritual wisdom and the absolute cutting edge of modern neuroscience. It's a wild ride, so stick with me.
So, here's the central question, and it sounds kind of crazy, right? Could a Sufi poet, writing almost 900 years ago, have laid out a map of human consciousness so perfectly that it aligns with a scientific model of the brain that we're only just developing today? I mean, that feels impossible, but that's exactly the puzzle we're going to piece together.
So on one hand, we've got The Conference of the Birds. It's this epic poem about a whole flock of birds on a quest to find their king. And on the other hand, we have the Brain Kinematics Model, the BKM. This is a scientific framework that talks about consciousness using terms like emotional strain and meaning fields. One is a beautiful story, the other is hard science. And you're about to see how they might just be telling the exact same story.
Okay, so the story kicks off with birds from all over the world coming together for this big quest. But here's the thing, almost every single bird has an excuse, some piece of emotional baggage that's holding them back. And these aren't just quirky character flaws. You'll see they are incredibly precise illustrations of the cognitive loops that keep all of us stuck.
Leading this whole expedition is the Huapu. Now, in the poem, she's the wise, determined guide. But in the language of neuroscience, she's basically the brain's prefrontal cortex. She's our executive function, that part of us that can see the bigger picture, sense a higher goal, and try to get the rest of our messy, emotional brain to get on board, instead of just running in circles.
Then you've got the peacock. And man, this bird is magnificent, just stunning. But he can't go on the journey. Why? Because he's completely obsessed with his feathers. And not just because they're beautiful. They're a constant, painful reminder of how he was cast out of paradise. He is, quite literally, trapped by a memory of shame.
And this is where it gets absolutely wild. The Brain Kinematics Model has a name for what the peacock is going through, a recursive guilt loop. No, that's not just a fancy poetic term, it's a technical description for when a powerful memory of shame creates so much cognitive strain that it completely stalls your ability to move forward. The peacock's excuse isn't just an excuse, it's a perfect scientific diagnosis.
Next up, the nightingale. And his problem? He's just too in love. His passion for a single rose is so intense, so all-consuming, that the idea of some higher, more abstract meaning is it's unthinkable to him. His world is incredibly full, but it's also incredibly small.
And yep, you guessed it, the BKM has a term for this too. It's called love saturation. It's a state where one single powerful emotion, in this case love, is so high amplitude that it completely dominates the brain's landscape. That intense feeling basically acts like a giant wall, and it physically blocks the mind from being able to shift into a new, more complex way of understanding the world. The nightingale isn't just a romantic, he is neurologically gridlocked.
So, the big question is, how do these birds get past all this baggage? Well, in the story, they have to go on this epic journey through the 7 valleys. But here's the key. These aren't just places on a map. Each valley is a profound phase transition in the brain. It's a necessary step of rewiring and reorganizing yourself on the path to real, lasting change.
Let's walk through it. The journey kicks off with a disturbance, the quest. Then, in the Valley of Love, that high emotion actually makes your old, rigid ideas collapse. In the Valley of Knowledge, your brain starts to reorganize itself around new information. Detachment is like cleaning house, pruning away all the old attachments that don't serve you. Then, in Unity, all the separate parts of your mind start to merge, creating this incredible state of high coherence. And it all leads to the final valley, Annihilation, where the mental strain that creates your ego just drops to almost zero.
Okay, so imagine this. After this long, incredibly difficult journey, only 30 birds are left. They've made it. They finally arrive at the court of the one they've been searching for this whole time, the great king, the Simorgh. But what they find there, well, it's the biggest shock of all. There's no king sitting on a throne. Instead, they look into a giant reflecting surface and they see themselves. And here's the kicker. In Persian, the word Simorgh can be translated as 30 birds. The divine king they were searching for all along was the collective being they had become together on the journey.
And, unbelievably, science can explain this spiritual peak with stunning clarity. According to the BKM, our sense of a separate self, our ego, is really just a temporary boundary, a pattern created by all that mental and emotional friction, that strain. When the birds let go of their baggage, that strain went down, those boundaries dissolved, and they were able to merge back into the underlying continuum of consciousness.
That right there is the BKM's scientific definition of enlightenment, or what the Sufis have called fana, the annihilation of the self, for centuries.
But hold on, is that long, gradual journey the only way to transform? Well, the poet Attar gives us another story, the story of Sheikh Sanʿān. And his transformation is anything but gradual. It is a sudden, total, catastrophic collapse.
The sheikh starts out as this pillar of his community, super rigid in his beliefs. Then, boom, he falls hopelessly in love with a Christian girl, and his entire identity just shatters. He goes through absolute humiliation, he surrenders everything he thought he was. And it's only after he hits that absolute rock bottom that his sense of meaning can be reborn, but this time it's way deeper and more compassionate than it ever was before.
So now we've got these two totally different paths that seem to lead to the same place. One is a slow, step-by-step group pilgrimage. The other is a rapid, vertical freefall of an individual. So how do these two ways of changing actually stack up against each other?
What's amazing is that both paths show the same deep mechanics, just in different ways. The bird's journey is a collective one, a sequential merging process. The BKM calls this stepwise phase transitions, but the sheikh? His is the collapse of a single identity. It's a shattering and then a reassembling. And in scientific terms, that's a catastrophic boundary breakdown. Two totally different stories, one single underlying map of the mind. So what's the big picture here? What both of these incredible stories give us, especially when you look at them through the lens of modern neuroscience, is this stunningly coherent map of the brain's inner world. You could call it a geography of meaning, and it's shaped by the constant push and pull of our own internal strain. So, the ultimate takeaway is this. Our sense of who we are, what we believe, what matters to us, it's not fixed. It actually depends on the current state of our brain. That emotional strain we all feel, it can absolutely break us, like it almost broke the sheikh. Or it can be the very fuel that pushes us to evolve, like it did for the birds. The ego we spend so much time defending is just a temporary pattern, and real growth, whether you call it spiritual or psychological, is really just the process of reorganizing that inner geography of your own mind.
And that really just leaves us with one final question. A poet gave us the map almost 1,000 years ago, and now science is finally verifying all the coordinates. The only question that's left is the one that we each have to ask ourselves. What does your inner geography look like? What valleys are you stuck in? What mountains are you trying to climb? What inner geography are you navigating right now?